Hello and welcome to Don't Evolve Me, the place like Ash catches Pikachu. We don't evolve, we just level up. We have Michael Schumer on today talking Switch 2. Hello, Michael.
Yo, 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 happy to be back.
Yeah, hey, it's been a while, so I'm happy you're here. Happy to talk Switch 2. But first, what have you been nerding out on?
Oh my gosh, I'm.
No one cares. What's the Switch 2? The Switch 2. Switching it up in season 3. We're just getting to the news, and we'll just not to the news. We're just getting to the topic right away, and then we're gonna get to our personal stuff after that. All right, Switch 2, Michael. General thoughts.
All right, well, I'm just gonna say the first thing that anybody that's been keeping up with it was gonna say is I just think it's absolutely hysterical that the internet knew everything about the Switch 2 before Nintendo even revealed it. So that's pretty awesome. The fact that they just
yeah.
leaks just were like, this is what it looks like. This is look at this is the new Joy-Con. This is the specs of it. Like, we literally knew everything. We know more about it now than we still do from the information that Nintendo gave us in that little minute teaser.
It's interesting because I think you're more like ahead of like the tech, and like figuring out what's going to come next.
Oh, dude, I'm locked in.
Yeah, you're like this is like your subject. So like when I saw the news, I'm like, yeah, I think Michael is already like, as you said, locked in. For me, I'm like, ooh, I wasn't expecting Switch 2 news. I'm so like caught up in political world news, and also crying because of I'm caught up in all the news. But it's a welcome change. So I'm like, ooh, Switch 2, yes, I'm excited. I think my first question, and I do have this segment. It's called I Got Some Questions. I don't have a specific amount of questions. I think I have 13 that I wrote, but like I've got some questions.
Mm-hmm.
First one. Do we like the news that we got?
Okay, so this is one thing you and I were talking about a little bit before the show, but we saved for this moment. So here's my take on it. I like the Switch 2 in the sense of, like, if it was anybody else doing it, I'd be like, awesome, great. Like, if Valve announces the Steam Deck 2, I'll be like, awesome, great, that's what I want.
Yep.
For me personally, I'm slightly disappointed as being a longtime fan of Nintendo, as I feel like they've always kind of pushed the envelope in weird, creative ways, and admittedly, it's early days. But even according to the there's not really a lot they're changing here. There's just not like we go back to I'm just gonna go back to the Wii. We could go back to the GameCube, but that was probably the closest to another standard console we got. But we have the Wii. They introduced motion controls. You have the DS. Like, hey, we have two. Like, there's gonna be two screens on this. Nobody asked for this, but we thought that would be fun. You have the 3DS. Like, we have two screens and a quasi 3D effect. Once again, nobody asked for this, but we're gonna roll with it. Then you got the Wii U, which was obviously it was a failure, but I think that's more marketing than what it actually was.
The Wii U is like, hey, we're gonna give you a touchscreen remote that you can play with the Wii on top of the motion controls.
And really, what they should have said is, hey, you know how you hate having to share your one TV with everybody in the family? This gets rid of that. Woohoo!
It does. It was great.
I think they should have done that personally, but. So that's my opinion on that. And then the Switch, obviously, it's the Switch. It's like the combination of so many different elements of Nintendo's design philosophy over the years. You get a much more powerful handheld than above average, which is kind of like the 3DS. And then you have the Wii U tablet style thing. And then on top of that, you have the Wii's like nunchucks, and then just a fantastic library, which, So those are a couple of my thoughts. Now, what I've seen online about the leaks is that they're supposed to be the new Joy-Cons are supposed to be like quasi mice. So like
quasi mice.
So they're supposed to be like you're supposedly gonna set them so like the rail side is on like under your hand, and you can like run it back and forth and like to the sides as if it was a mouse. And so you treat the triggers like as if it was like a standard, mouse, like if you're at your computer. So that's kind of interesting, but I'm just not seeing that Oh wow, I've never seen this done before. Thing. I mean that the mouse thing kind of, sort of, and admittedly, we still have what?
Isn't the PS5 kind of like that with the motion sensor like in the middle,
Yeah,
or
there's.
not PS4 or PS5?
Yep, yep. I mean, kind of, sort of. This one's a lot more like akin to, I think, a standard mouse, and like if I think about like how a Joy-Con
Hmm.
feels in my hand, I'm like, oh, that would work. Um, it's just I'm somewhat disappointed we haven't seen anything great. Like we didn't see anything, or haven't seen any even leaks that indicate they're gonna do something crazy. Like I was really, really hoping if they did this, because this feels like more like a hardware revision to me than anything. It
Hmm.
doesn't feel like it's a successor console for Nintendo, anyways. If it was, like I said, if it was for anybody else, it'd be on par with like the PS4 or PS5. It's better. It's more powerful. Okay, cool. We got it. Boom, done. On to the next thing. And whereas
So,
oh, go ahead. Go
oh,
ahead. Say your thing.
I'm gonna let you finish your thought because I have my whole, I wouldn't say rant, but I have my whole thought.
Okay. And I just feel like they're kind of following more their competitors' lead, which is fine, and I get it because the Switch has been a monumental success for them. I was
Hmm.
just hoping, from what we've seen, and I'm going with this with the logic of like we haven't seen anything. Maybe they'll have the trailer and they'll drop something and say, and like I was really hoping we would, and I don't think that it's going to happen because we haven't seen anything in the leaks that the dock, but that the dock would be able to function as like almost like what the Wii U tablet did, if that makes sense. So I was
Mm.
really hoping the dock would be some kind of like transceiver that you could cast, so
Oh, got
you
you.
don't have to dock the Switch. You could just be like, oh, boom, I want to put it
That'd
on
be
the
cool.
TV.
Yeah.
You just hit a button, whatever. That would have been awesome. I don't think they're
Hmm.
doing that. That personally would be like my dream scenario because I think
Hmm.
I don't know. I just think it'd be really cool to have that ability to like we've done
Yeah.
so much like casting to the device. It'd be cool to see your device cast to a TV and have it play flawlessly, or like to the dock.
Well, I really like the Wii U like remote,
Mm.
and I remember playing like the Wii U remote on like, and then you cast it on the TV, and I'm like, it's a dope. It's huge, it's clunky, but like it felt good in the hand. It reminded me of like the GameCube controller,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, wow, it takes a while to get used to, but once you get used to it, you're kind of like, wait, this might be the best controller I've ever had. Because that's how I felt with like the GameCube, where at least like when I played the little bit that I played, I'm like, it more or less I got comfortable with it, but the Wii U system, like I kind of like playing with this giant ass
Yeah,
controller and with the TV,
I didn't play
and I
much
kind
Wii
of
U, but yeah, I know what you mean.
wish that too. So here's my thoughts on it. To the question of do we like it? I think Nintendo made the right move here. I think they made, because they ultimately made like the ultimate console of like, hey, we're gonna give you this great library on top of the fact that you can play it either mobilely or you can play it on the big screen TV. Like
Mm-hmm.
both are valid ways to play this game or these games. And I more or less I'm like, this is kind of like an area that no other company has really done, both mobile and on. I know PlayStation tried it with the PS Vita and like the PSP with the PlayStation, but it was kind of clunky. I know PC's doing it with like the Steam Deck now, but like that was kind of became their bread and butter. So coming out with the Switch 2, because really, how do you improve? What could Nintendo do better? They could make a better Switch. They could
Yeah,
make a more powerful Switch. And so I understand the want and need for like more creativity or like having them go with another gimmick, but I'm like, they have gold here.
that's
Like they do have gold.
for what it's worth. I don't disagree with you. I think from like a business standpoint, this is the right move. Like safe, it's a
Hmm.
safe move. It's gonna sell like hotcakes. Like I'm already like, well, depending on how much it costs, it'll be a day one purchase for me. Like,
Yeah,
which I'd love to get into that discussion, um, because I do have some thoughts on it, and I've seen some stuff that has me a little concerned. But, uh, anyways,
I did too. Yeah.
uh, my thing is, I don't disagree with it from like a business standpoint, and even from like a Nintendo standpoint of like, hey, the system it works. It just straight it works. Like I'm not gonna
Hmm.
fight them on it.
Yeah.
It's just I was hoping to see them. I've always appreciated. I may not appreciate their lawyers, but I always appreciate Nintendo's ingenuity and like their ability
Yep.
to see stuff in a way that like you're like, oh wow, and like I mean, I remember when the Wii came out and the whole motion controller thing exploded, and then that was like 2 years later. Nintendo and Xbox were like, or not Nintendo, Sony and Xbox were like, we were doing it too, but shittier.
Yeah.
Kinect. Was it PlayStation Move?
You don't even need a remote.
What was it called? It was like that weird
PlayStation
fucking
Move
wand-looking thing with
they had the PlayStation
LED.
Eye too. I had that. Didn't work that well.
Yeah, they completely blundered on that. And that's like, it's once again, I don't think this was a bad move from Nintendo. I think it was a smart move. I think it makes the most sense. I like that they have redesigned the Joy-Cons. Actually, well, I like it, but I don't know if you caught this, and from what I've heard on the leaks, there's something that might be concerning for you as a parent, which is that, so in the trailer you kind of saw it, there's like a connector that sticks out of the rails. It's proprietary. It's not like USB-C, it's proprietary. So getting that, if that breaks, you're going to have to pay to get that fixed. And also, I think the concern is like if a kid has a bad day, they're mad and they toss it down, it could pop it out and break, is what I've heard. I don't know. Obviously, we don't have the console in hand. Maybe it's sturdy as a brick shithouse, but
I'm not overly concerned because I feel like Nintendo is usually pretty good with their hardware.
Oh, that's the other thing I was going to say is the leak said that allegedly, I'm going off random internet strangers, so do not take this. This is not gospel. But it wouldn't surprise me is apparently they did not correct the joysticks. So they're still possible they have suffered from drift instead of moving the whole joysticks.
The funny thing is about the trailer itself, there was like the little, when they like showed off the Switch design and they're showing how sleek it is, like I just remember the focus on the Joy-Cons and they like had the little blue circle around it. My first thought was like, oh, did they actually is this them indicating to us that they fixed the drifting of the Joy-Con?
Negative Ghost Rider.
Like, I don't know if it is, but it seems like, it seems like that's what they're going.
I hope they did. I really do. I hope they did because, like, I know I have a friend of mine that, like, he loved the Switch. It was his favorite console of all time. But he got 4 or 5 Joy-Cons, and they all got drift. He's like, I don't even want to play it. He literally is like, I don't even want to play it anymore because it's just like, why would I want to?
It's I struggle playing like old Super Mario games. Sapphire is like huge. I'm playing like the old games, and we got a new projector. We'll put the Switch on and we'll like project it, and it's really cool to play old, like the newer games. It doesn't look that great, but like the older games on a projector look fantastic and it's fun as hell. But playing with the Joy-Cons, I realize I'm like, I either really suck at Super Mario Bros. Now, or I really fucking hate Joy-Cons when it comes to these type of technical games.
Wait, are you playing with like individual single ones?
Yeah, or together.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think the Joy-Cons are. I think it looks like they fixed that from what I saw. I'd have to watch the trailer again, but I think they gave the Joy-Cons more of a grip now, which is good because holding those things for like an extended period of time, fucking agonizing. Your hands are not designed like that at all.
Yeah. I hated it. I'm like, I remember being really good at this game because I used to play it like on SP, Game Boy SP, shout out, on the little cartridge game, and I'm like, I used to be really good. And I'm like, I have levels that I forgot, but I still have the muscle memory for, and it's really weird because I'll be like, I will just do the level perfectly, and I'm like, I don't remember this level, but I remember that like doing these movements, and I'll just perfectly do the level. But like at the end or like at a trickier part, I'll like fuck up just like one little bit and then die just because simply like it didn't register.
Yeah, that's fucking.
And I would get so mad. So I'm like, I really hope they switch that.
Yeah, Switch, tish.
Switch.
I think
the Switch 2.
I'm surprised they didn't give it a different name, honestly. Or like,
I think it works.
Yeah, I mean, they definitely do not want a repeat of the Wii U because that's what they said. Apparently, is what killed it. Is because a lot of people just thought it was an accessory.
Well, that's my third question. My second question is the sequel is a good choice, and I think we talked about that already. I would say it is a good choice, at least financially for them. I think they can do the next console that they do. I think that's when they can switch it out and like do something different. Yeah, I keep doing it now. No, the pun wasn't intended, but it might be intended.
I apologize for anybody listening to this, just shaking their head.
Oh man, I'm not even trying. I wasn't even trying to do it. I just keep doing it naturally. But the third question is this the Wii U, or is this like another redemption at like a Wii U?
You're saying in terms of like what success it'll have?
Yeah, like is this going to be like the Wii U where like people are going to be like, I don't feel like I need to get it. I don't really need the upgrade, or is this going to be like another shot at like the Wii U?
So here's the thing. I don't think we're going to end up in a Wii U situation. Could we? Sure, but I do think the naming title is distinct enough to say, no, this is a sequel. This is different.
Mm-hmm.
I do think one problem they're going to have is that they held on to the Switch too long, in my mind.
Maybe, yeah.
In the sense of, like, I personally think they should have announced that there's a lot of shit happening in flux right now, especially in the gaming community, where I feel like Nintendo should have announced this 3 months ago and dropped it in 2 months, personally. And
like the 2024 Christmas?
No, I mean, like, they should announce it like in November. The reason they didn't announce it in November, in my mind, is probably because they didn't want to lose out on Switch sales. And it's like, guys, if you don't already have a Switch, you're not gonna fucking buy a Switch. In my mind, maybe somebody will, but you announcing a new console isn't gonna stop people from buying it, if that makes sense.
No,
like the people that are buying them now are people that wait till the end of a generation so they can get all the games, play through a bunch of shit for cheap. Like, those are not gonna.
You can't do that with it. You can't do that with Nintendo anyway.
Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion on that part. Is like, I think they should have announced this a while back and already had it like pretty much ready to launch because. I don't think summer's a good time to launch a console, personally. People are out doing shit. No. Like, you want to launch it like spring, winter. People are. It's like you want to emulate this COVID.
I expect him to do it.
Oh, go ahead.
I expect him to do it in November. I know Switch was like February, March, which wasn't like a terrible time.
Oh, you think Switch 2 will be like late this year?
I think in November.
Oh, God, I hope not. Oh, I hope not.
I mean, I hope so, because I won't be able to afford the Switch to quite some time. So I'm like, I can wait. I'm fine. I'm good with
That's
it.
Fair.
Like I'm happy with the Switch now. I would be like, if we were like, hey, we're getting 5 more years of the Switch, I'd be like, it's a decent console. Is it like amazing games? Is it great graphics? But I'm like, I don't need great graphics. I just need a great game. Tears of the Kingdom is perfectly fine for me.
I think the problem is that now, like, we've seen it with these last few titles. Is like, it doesn't have the power to run stuff as well as it used to. Like, even the old stuff
doesn't have the power.
Even the old stuff struggled. Like Breath of the Wild, like basics and like it runs like 30 FPS, which is fine for most people, but disgusting if you're a graphics snob like myself.
Yeah, Pokemon looks awful. Yeah. Like, God, Scarlet and Violet, I pop it on, I'm like,
I remember we had this discussion.
I know.
And I'm not dissing, more like, I remember when we first played it, you're like, this isn't that bad. And I'm just sitting there like, what are you seeing here, dude? But
I think I was just so like ingrained with the world that I wasn't like, and this is like a thing that I like about the Switch is, if you get so ingrained with the world, you don't really care what it looks like, because in your mind, it's like, oh, this is great. It was just like why when we played old graphics, it worked for us, because like, we didn't give a shit of like how it looked, because in our mind it's like, this is just what video games are, and we get really into like that world. We get really into the like that's our reality for us when we play those games. So, and I think of like Skyrim. I'm trying to play Skyrim again, and I'm getting into that world. I'm like, oh my God, this is so fucking outdated. Like, the combat's horrible. Like,
have you
the
heard
story, the narrative elements, and I'm just like,
I didn't feel that way. Have you? I'm gonna break away from Switch stuff for 2 seconds here. Allegedly,
Switch 2.
Switch 2. Allegedly, Oblivion is getting an HD remaster that they're gonna drop this next year, like with upgraded graphics and everything.
There was a third party that was doing that for Skyrim and Oblivion, so I don't know if it's going to be if they're
do
just
both.
taking what they did. Well, I don't know if they're going to take what they. It was called like Sky Oblivion. It was supposed to
I thought
release
that was
this
like a
year, I
third.
believe.
Wasn't that like a hack though? Wasn't it? Like or not a hack,
Yeah,
a
it was
mod.
like yeah, it was like a third party mod that they were going to release, just like Fallout London
Dude.
that they released.
Yeah, I haven't played that one, but I've heard really good things about it. On a side note, like kind of going with that, like Bethesda is definitely like, oh, we kind of fucked up with what's that new game they released that people were hyped out, and they're like,
Starfield.
Like, this is shit.
I'm trying to get into Starfield because I have it on the PC and I played it for like 10 minutes and I'm like, I'm not interested. I'm not like I have my space games. And this is the same with like Naughty Dog. When we have to talk Naughty Dog too about their newest game.
We got discussion points on the discussion points.
We do, but I'm just like, I don't need space games. I have Mass Effect. Like I'm good. I'm good with the space games.
I think the problem with space games is like everybody's like the vast exploration of space, and it's like okay, but then you go to these planets and there's nothing there. It's like okay, I would rather. I've said this,
or you're very limited.
Yeah, I would rather have like a lot of these open world games, big as an ocean, shallow as a kiddie pool. Give me a kiddie pool that goes down to the fucking depths. Like I'd rather have a much more small. I'd rather have a smaller world that goes deep and deep and deep and deep. Like I saw this idea on Reddit years ago about like a zombie apocalypse game where you're like locked into one town, but you can go into every room, every like it's a small town, but you can go to every house, every room, everything's explorable, and then you have to like to build and defend the city. I'm like, that would be fucking sick. Like
that's more enjoyable than like, hey, you can go to 100 towns, but like you can only go through a couple buildings.
That's kind of why I don't care for. I'm gonna say I don't care for Spider-Man because it's like, oh, you're in New York, but you can't go into any of these buildings. They're literally just giant cardboard cutouts that you get to swing around, which is.
I mean, Spider-Man's fun for like the realism. It's fun for like swinging around and pretending to be Spider-Man, but it's like I don't look at that world and be like, oh, it's so interactive. It's like it looks really cool. It does its purpose, but it's not like this. It's not like in the Grand Theft Auto 5 is another one of those. It's like it's not where you can go into every building. It's not that vast, of a world.
Well, I think like that's. I hope I hope we see more interactive worlds. Like I said, I'm so tired of like, give me a world that I can get lost in and explore. It doesn't have to be huge. Just like I want to be able to be like, oh, what's in here? What's in this room? What's down here? Oh, there's a secret passage. Like that's cool. Like Tears of the Kingdom, I think is where we finally have started to see that, where it's like, oh, hey, what's that little? Oh, that's a hole. What the fuck? There's a cave system under here that goes around for a while. Like, kind of talking about that game makes me want to play it again. Let's see if I can play it with like.
I lost that game and I found it because I like wanted to play on the projector, and I might be doing that now.
That's a good idea. All right, sorry, we got way off topic there. What was your?
Let's switch to
point number. What are we on? Point number 4 or 5?
Oh, I think 4. But I think my question is bigger better? Because it's a bigger system. Everything's bigger. Joy-Con's bigger. The Switch is bigger. Is bigger better?
Not everybody's going to agree with me, but I'm going to say absolutely. In this case, yes, because I think
so too.
I think the number one thing that has held back Switch game sales recently. Okay, if something hits cross-platform tomorrow, right, and it goes Switch, it goes PC, and it goes PlayStation, Xbox. For me, I'm going to pick it up on PC because I get it on my PC, and I have a Steam Deck, so I have it on my Steam Deck. Even if you don't have a Steam Deck, there's so many apps now where you can stream something to your phone, and you just have to have like a Bluetooth controller. So like that kills, literally instantly wipes out. Why would I ever play it on my Switch? Unless that's the only thing you have. There's no logical reason to get it on your Switch. It's just not. You're going to be playing at a subpar experience at 30 FPS, 720p if you're lucky.
That's how I felt about Mortal Kombat, I think 11 when I bought it, because I was like, for some reason, I'm like, oh, I can just buy it on the Switch and I can play it mobilely. And then I put it on the Switch and I was like, oh, this game is so fucking rough on it. So fucking rough. And I'm like, I should just bought it for the PlayStation. What was I doing? So I agree. But I think bigger is better for the fact that like I have big hands.
Oh, and I was going to add to that too, like the screen. Oh God, when I saw that they're adding a couple, it never seems like much, but if they add like even if it's like half an inch to a screen size, that's huge.
15%.
That's
adding 15%.
It doesn't look that big when you're like, oh, that doesn't look huge. But when you're playing it, you're like, oh wow. Now
it reminds me of the Wii U controller.
Is that how? Is that what they're comparing the screen size to? Is that what it's been, or have they said like?
That's my own personal comparison. When I saw it, I'm like, it reminds me of the Wii U controller.
I see. I wasn't sure if they like officially said, "Hey, it's going to be like this size," or
They haven't said shit. Or they haven't said much.
I kind of wish like that was the other thing. I get that they want to do like a deep dissertation, but I wish we got a little bit more with the trailer. Like, just give me some like rough specs. But the one thing I did hear, and it looks like not an OLED screen, it's going to be LCD. So this is me being a nerd. The regular Switch is an LCD, which is fine. Have you played anything on like an OLED screen before?
I have not.
So it's not like it's the worst thing in the world. Like LCD screens are fine. They're okay. But OLEDs are just so vibrant. Like you play something like Metroid Dread or which also speaking of Metroid games, speaking of games, like that's one we can talk about for the Switch too. Or even like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Like when you do those what are those called? Those little temple dungeon things in Breath of the Wild, and at the very end there's like that blue gate thing that explodes.
Oh yeah,
so those look
what you're talking about.
Really nice on LCD. You see that on an OLED, and it's just such a vibrant color. Like that's mostly what I was hoping they would do for the Switch too, is like give us the OLED but better. And it seems like they're like, we want to keep costs down, so we're gonna go to LCD. And it's like, well, you guys made like 1 million of these fucking things. I think you'll be okay with eating a little cost because the technology will continue to get cheaper, and people just buy them like hotcakes. But I think that they're gonna do is kind of do the scummy thing of save the OLED for a refresh a few years down the line. Be like, switch to OLED.
Yeah, that's like the downside of like buying it day one is like, and I think that could be a question too. Are you buying it day one? I'm like, that it's the day one consoles are not always great.
No. Well, real quick before we go there, because I do think that's a good point. But I don't know if you've heard this. Supposedly, according to so a lot of these leaks are allegedly coming from China where they're producing them. And supposedly the power of this thing is the equivalent of a PS4. When it's undocked, it's like a PS4. Which is fucking insane if you think about it.
That's question 12.
Is it? Okay. And then docked is PS4 Pro about. So like...
Okay.
I'm going to use an example of something else we're discussing today, which is it'd be like, imagine being able to play like The Last of Us 2 on like 60 FPS in your handheld.
That'd be nice.
That would be amazing. That'd be nice. So obviously it won't be that because it's Sony exclusive, but if you just think about like the graphic quality and performance, so I think that's really cool.
Nice.
But is it a day one purchase? That's where I think it depends on what games come out. That's for me. That is my question.
And price.
Those 2 points. If it's here's my take. On my perfect world, it'll be $300. I don't think it will be.
That's what I would hope for.
$350, I would also accept. I'm not gonna be thrilled about it, but I would accept it. I'm terrified they're gonna try to go $400. If they do $400, I'm not gonna fucking unless they have
the rumor that I've seen. And this is what I've seen this morning. Again, so all speculation at this point until they announce it. The rumor that I've seen is that it's not going to be $300. It's going to be $450.
That would kill. I think that's the stupidest decision they could make. They're not. It's not a. It's not a $450 account. Like,
I could buy a PS5.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why would I? Literally, like, why would I buy that? You could buy a PS5 discless. And 300. Let's see. Let's actually look this up here because I have a PS5 disc.
And then the other rumor was like $500 for the bundle with Mario Kart 9/10, whatever they decided to call it.
I really hope that. I think that would be Nintendo. Okay, I'm gonna get to a heated thing here.
You're just getting upset already.
Nintendo is great, but they are fucking idiots about pricing. Do you remember when the 3DS came out? Let me see what they launched that thing at.
I think they launched it at like $200-300.
Yes, original price. Yes, $250. That was in 2011. So let me see. That would be about $350 today. Watch it, fucking wow, that's insane for inflation. Under 14 years, it's a $100 increase.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So, but you think about that, it's like no shit. Like Nintendo just needs to. I think here's the thing. Nintendo just needs to take the L on the cost. Like it'd be like you're gonna just have to take the hit on the cost of these things. What you're selling is software, not hardware.
Yeah, more basically.
Like that's you can't. I don't. I really hope they're not going to sell it at that price because I'd be like, I'm not fucking buying that, or at least I would wait until they I got it.
Well, why would you? Because they're like, backwards compatibility. I cannot say that word for whatever reason, but I'm like, unless you have a lot of games up front that I'm like, I want to and really feel like I need to play, like, I don't feel like the need. Like if the new Pokemon game, either Legends or Gen 10, if it comes out that early, which would be a huge mistake for Gen 10 for that to be the case. But if they release like Gen 10 and like, hey, releasing a Gen 10 in the same time that we're releasing Switch 2, then I'm going to be like a little bit more up to like wanting to buy it. That being said, Mario Kart 9 is not going to do it for me.
No, absolutely not.
And I love Mario Kart 8, and I love Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The DLC I thought was a fucking amazing move.
Oh, we did pick that. I didn't know if I told you that. I have not been able to find my physical copy for a while, and me and Haley picked that up, and I got the DLC. She kicked my ass. I don't think I won a single. I didn't win a single game. I don't know. I won like maybe 2 races, but she beat me in all the cups. I was like, fuck this game.
Is she good? Like, is she really, really good at it?
She's pretty good at it.
I might have to challenge her.
She's pretty good at it. Okay. I am garbage I don't lose. At racing and fighting games. I like both of them for the most part, but I'm suck at both. I'm decent at Smash.
I am notoriously really good at Mario Kart 8, and I feel like that's been like over a decade now because it's like that old. But I remember getting it on like on the Wii U for like when I got it like 10 years ago, and I remember like my roommate, call it the Steven here. He would come down and he would like practice. Like we would practice together. We were very equal. Then I learned like how to get really good, and I like practiced for like a night or two. And it might have been longer than that, but I just learned like if you drive a certain way, if you play defense, you can get really good at the game. And I just kept the same strategy for 10 years. And now like the last 10 years, I have friends challenge me. And some of them like once you learn how to play the game, you're more or less like everyone's at the same equal level. But yeah, it's one of those games that I got like really good at like how to do it. And I wouldn't do any specific characters because if you pick certain characters, you're just ultimately faster. Like there is tiers of like which characters are faster, but I don't know. There is like a certain style. If you play it a certain way, you're going to be good at it. But Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, the DLC where they basically just gave you a whole new game, but just in levels, fucking amazing idea. I wish more games would do that, especially sports games where it's like you don't like make a new game every 5 years, just release player updates.
You can still charge like a fucking arm and a leg for it too. Like it's like $30, like
$30 every year.
That's gonna. It has to cost less money to do that than it does to make a whole new game, in my mind. Like there's no way.
And just update it, and then every 5 years you just. New game.
Boom.
Like Madden 2020 or just Madden this 5 years, Madden again.
They'll never, Madden specifically won't do it because of the contractual agreements, but yes, I agree.
The potty break is over and we are ready.
You need like I think you need like a name for it, like some kind of like play on word for the evolve me, like don't evolve me tag.
Oh, I was just going to be like, this break is sponsored by Crohn's.
That's a good one too.
I mean, that's what I was going to do. I've done that. I made that joke before.
That's a good one.
So we're going to continue our segment. I've got some questions.
All right.
We're only on question 5. Jeez. This isn't really a question, but like, I more or less like phrase this as has a headphone jack. They still have a headphone jack on the Switch too.
Dude, I'm not surprised that people get so okay. You know how I'm a tech junkie nerd,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm in like the tech community, and that's one thing that's like regular. Like people get very upset by if you get rid of it.
Yeah,
Like even
headphone jack.
phones, like people get pissed by that. Like we're at least in the really tech heavy group is like people like the option to have it. Is I think where it really
Yeah.
comes in. I'm not surprised they have it. I think it's a good thing to keep the 3.5 millimeter jack because,
Mm-hmm.
especially, I love Bluetooth headphones, but
Same.
very few, in my experience, like I've always had issues with latency on devices that use it. My Steam Deck is not great with it. My Switch is not great with it, and it could be what it could be the Galaxy Buds I use. I don't think they're the best Bluetooth headphones. But there's a lot of devices that use Bluetooth audio, but they just don't do it well, or you need the proprietary thing. I don't think they've, especially with video games, they don't have the latency locked in. Like it's really.
I'm just surprised they have it. I'm not against it. I'm just like, wow, a brand new device coming out in 2025 has a headphone jack. I'm just surprised by it. I'm cool with it, but I'm surprised by it.
I like it. I think it's a good decision. It allows you to like have redundancy and like hey, you want even if they get Bluetooth audio fixes, like hey, cool, you don't have that yet. It's too expensive. Well, you can get a regular pair of headphones, plug them in, you're done.
So here's the next one. So they have a USB-C port, but here's the thing that like I made this like two different questions, but it's going to be just one. There's two of them.
Yep.
For what purpose?
Okay, so there's this has been like something I've seen in the once again going to the tech community for a while. It's to allow you, at least from what I've seen, it's to allow you the option to charge in whatever way is easiest for you. If you don't like the cable dragging on your stomach, boom, just plug it in the top. If you don't like the cable on top because it just doesn't work for where you're at, plug it in below. It just gives you that option so that it doesn't interfere with you. It's a comfort thing. I think is ultimately where it comes in. So
I know I've heard a little bit too. They're like, is there a second one so you can charge it on top of using another like accessory to it?
That is also a possibility. Like maybe they make like a USB-C dongle to allow you to have. I can't think of anything. Maybe or like a Bluetooth thing would be perfect there. That would be like something where it's like, hey, you need like a USB-C dongle to have a like reduce Bluetooth latency or like with a specific headset. Bada boom, bada bing. I have some devices around here that have dual USB-Cs. Like I don't think my Steam Deck OLED does, but I just picked up this Trim UI brick that does. But I think it's also like an HDMI out. That's the other thing they could do for it is display out. So yeah, I've seen that become more and more of a trend. Because people just like to have the option. Yeah, hey, option. I'm always for adding additional I/O personally.
So the Joy-Cons, the fact that they connect.
Yep.
But like in the first Switch, it was like more or less you connected from top.
Yep.
This is more magnet, right?
Correct. Yep. That's what. At least that's my understanding. It's like it's a magnet. There's still a proprietary connector. But they stay locked in with a magnet, is my understanding. So,
which I think is gonna be cool, a lot nicer.
Yep.
I noticed the sound of the trailer is different. It's not. It's like it's a different sound.
It's a click,
like,
but it's a different click.
Yeah, and I'm like, ooh, Switch 2. You switching it up here.
Yep.
Yeah, switch to clicks.
Switch to clicks. Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying that too hard now.
That's okay.
I'm working. All right, backward.
Okay, this is one I'm actually excited to talk about. So
this is a win, right? Like
I think so.
This is a win.
This is the one thing that's always infuriated me about Nintendo, and this is like one good thing about not messing shit up.
But Xbox, right? Xbox did this, didn't they?
What do you mean?
Like they had backwards capability. Like you could go back.
A lot of, I mean, PlayStation has always had. Well, I think. Where is it? PlayStation had it for a long time. Then the PlayStation 3 kind of fucked that all up, and then now it's back again with the 5 and 4. But with Xbox, I know for a while there, I mean, I don't know if you remember this, but back when they were doing. What was the Xbox that was with the PS4? What generation was that? The Xbox One?
It's so hard to
I wish
keep
I
up with like
fucking hate how they
Xbox.
rename their like just
What is it? They always name things after one.
yes, it's
Like Xbox 360, which mathematically is one
yep.
turn run rotation. Xbox One, and what is it? Xbox X now?
Series, yeah, like Series S and Series X, yeah. So it was the Xbox One. Is they were
I don't.
Microsoft's like basically was going to get rid of backwards compatibility and then charge you to like if like you couldn't sell like you could have physical games, but you would have to like rebuy them again. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you wanted to give me a game, I'd have to pay a license fee to use it on my
It's so
Xbox, and it
dumb.
was going to require constant online. And all of this went over about as well as a lead balloon. So I think that did
Yeah.
really hurt Microsoft. I don't think they've ever recovered from it, to be honest with you.
I don't think they did. I remember that press conference. What is it like?
It was
I forget.
E3,
Yeah, E3.
20. God, it would be like 2013, I think, because that was around the time they were launching.
I just remember everybody being like, "Boo, this sucks.
Yeah,
Like, this is like
a
you're
bad take,
overreach."
and like it was like bad things on top of bad things. It wasn't just like we think we make sense to do this. It was like we think it makes sense to do this, and then fuck you by doing this, and fuck you by doing this, and fuck you by doing this, and it was like
We
three
think
or
we can make more money if we do all these things.
exactly, and it's like you sure can, but good luck getting people to buy into your market unless it's like they were trying to be Apple without having like an Apple level product. I think is the problem, and
Yeah.
I don't think they've ever recovered from it in my mind.
Well, I mean, everybody's just like, "Oh, I see what you're up to."
Yep.
PlayStation, are you doing that? And PlayStation's just
Did
like,
you see the response video PlayStation
"Nope."
had on that years
Yeah,
ago?
I remember.
Like, do you want to
Yep.
know how easy it is to use PlayStation games? And it's like two guys being like, "Hey, man, do you want to play my game?" Yeah, and they just hand them the case. It's so awesome. So
It's fascinating because like I feel like PlayStation from there on out just took over
yeah,
and is now leading the console like race in that regard.
in that regard, I do think the problem that PlayStation, I think the problem with this latest generation is it's been a lot of technical improvements, but we haven't had, to my mind, we haven't had anything truly incredible. Like that you're like, wow, I could never have played this on the last generation. Like it's just more powerful,
Well,
if that makes sense.
like,
Like
well, okay, so comparing video games
mhm.
from like across time. Last of Us is what, a decade old now, which
Yeah,
is
at
crazy
least
to think.
more
And I
than
think
that. I
of
think it's like 12 years old now.
and part 2 is like 5 years old, which is another crazy
Yeah,
thing to think of. But I think of like part 2, part 1 in that comparison.
yeah.
You know, part 1 is like it's a good story. For the time, the graphics were great, but it wasn't as immersive. Whereas part 2 is like super immersive.
hmm
And I think we're getting to the point where like we're gonna get these like really immersive like AI generated like NPCs, and it's gonna look super freaking realistic. But realistic isn't better. It's not better gameplay. It's just it looks cooler. You have a more realistic virtual world, but it's not like the gameplay itself is improved. I think the only thing you're really going to improve with that is if you put yourself in like virtual reality and you're actually like physically in that world.
So I have a take on this real quick, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a hot take, and it's a take that will probably get me flamed on. But I just gotta say it. So we're seeing a lot of like people online that are like freaked out, and I understand why, but freaked out by like AI replacing and like destroying the games industry.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I do feel for developers,
Mm-hmm.
but I also think we're at kind of like a crossroads where there's so many games coming out, and the cost of games is astronomical. Like Spider-Man 2
Yeah.
is one of the most expensive games ever made, from what I recall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not. I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it's not like it's that amazing of a game. You know what I mean? It's not like it pushed. It didn't change. It's a good game.
It's not amazing. It's not spectacular. It's not the ultimate game that everyone says it is.
It's just it doesn't change anything fundamentally
Sorry,
from. I like that. That was good. I was hoping you were gonna. As soon as you said amazing, I was like, I hope he does what I think he's gonna do.
Yeah.
But I think
low hanging fruit, but yeah,
hey, just because it's a little hanging doesn't mean you shouldn't grab it, right?
that's true.
I think game costs have gone astronomically more expensive, which is hurting the game industry because you can't, like, I think people have these visions for these amazing, wonderfully, beautifully created games, but like, how do you make it when you have to hire fucking 600 or 700 people to make the damn thing, You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. It's literally. I understand the concerns about like, oh, AI is going to kill these companies, and I would posit this: is it going to hurt big companies, like the employees of big companies? Yes, but I think in the long run, this is going to be great for indie developers and smaller companies because now they don't have to have that overhead of like having a massive staff. They can be like, hey, we can have this AI machine. Like, it's not there yet. We're nowhere near. But we can have an AI machine go in there and make the base, kind of like do all like the fluff work. And then we can have our best people be like, let's make this an incredible world. And like, it just cuts down on that production time astronomically, in my mind.
Yeah, like if AI is used correctly, and I don't think humanity's got this, and this is becoming an AI discussion, but like if humanity uses AI correctly, AI is not great with creativity. AI is great for helping with creativity. It's great at like proposing ideas, but not the fine tuning because it's just more or less the average of other stories being told. It doesn't develop new. When it comes to that tedious work, the tedious like grinding and building structures and the animation, like that's where AI can just kind of come in and do the tedious work.
Yep.
Whereas like then you have individuals who can then come in and put its creative flair on it or the creative touches that makes it individualized and special. And I'm doing that now with my D&D campaign that I'm running tonight. And I'm not streaming it, it's just personal for fun. But like if I'm stuck, if I need like an idea, I'll just be like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I just need an idea. They're like, hey, this is what we propose of like cool different ideas from the different things. I'm like, sweet. It's close. It's like 80% there. I'm going to switch it up and make it my own.
Yep. It's just going to change, I think, game development for the positive. I understand that people are scared about it, and I do feel for these people. I'm not saying, oh, fuck you. Like, that sucks for you. I'm saying
it sucks for the society we live in.
Currently.
It sucks for the people who, currently. But like for our society we live in now, it sucks for them because like that's their livelihood. That's what makes them get their money. And that's why they, live the life they lead. But for art purposes, for pushing humanity forward, for pushing entertainment forward, AI is an amazing tool. It's just we're thinking of like us Americans, we're thinking of like, oh man, that's going to replace so many people. I'm like, that's not a bad thing. It shouldn't be a bad thing. We're just in a world right now that like, if you take that away, we're going hungry.
Yeah.
So that's the pros and cons. I think AI can push gaming further, but yeah, it does take away a lot of jobs.
The other thing too, I would say though, is like now I would also posit this: if we didn't have AI, what is the other reality? Let's say you get rid of it because there are people that are saying, nope, we shouldn't use it, we should ban it. Okay, so then costs continue to skyrocket, continue to get more expensive. You might have a great game idea, but it's not safe enough, so they're not going to get the funding for it. Because we can't afford to put X amount of staff on this. It's too cost prohibitive. So that it's the same thing. So then what happens? You get layoffs, but there's no silver lining there. It's just shit. It's just literal shit being shoved out the door. Are we going to get shit because there's AI and like there's just garbage games being produced at a rapid pace? Yes, but it's like anything else. It's like back in the day when they would have started making like those like crappy magazines you see like in grocery stores. People know it's garbage, so they just avoid it. Yeah, there's gonna be people that buy it and do it like that's just like their guilty pleasure. That's fine, sure, but I think that's gonna happen to AI development is like you're gonna look at a game like, oh, that's clearly AI. Like maybe not us right now, we're not aware, but like the next generation will be like, that's AI shit. I'm not gonna play that. Oh, look at these guys. It still has AI used. Like you still use words in another magazine, but it's the huge difference between reading a article by a great author or writer and something that ChatGPT just spat out at you. They both use words and may both sound eloquent, but somebody's going to be able to paint a much more human story. But
I mean, I feel like a lot of like creativity for humans and like especially Americans, we more or less just regurgitate the same shit. Like even without AI, like how many times have you heard in a movie or a TV show, and they're like, "I didn't sign up for this. I'm too old for this shit."
Yeah, there's just
like you hear the same dialogue over and over and over. You hear like a lot of these ideas are not original ideas. AI is not original. AI is more or less just a faster, more efficient way of giving you average.
Yeah, I think it's gonna just.
And that's not a bad thing.
Yeah, it's
More
not. It's not
efficient
a bad thing.
averages is bad.
I really do feel for the people, and I'm not saying like it's something we shouldn't watch out for. I do think we should. I think there's a lot of bad people that are going to try to abuse AI to cut jobs where they really shouldn't. That it's going to happen. You're going to have bad actors, but I would say like what we need to do, I think, or what I would tell those people is like, hey, it goes both ways. You now don't have to do that bullshit work. So you can get a group of very smart people together and be like, oh, fuck this company. We now have the ability to like make our own thing that's going to kick the crap out of anything our old employer made for us, because we were they were the brains behind the talent being wasted on stuff that was tedious bullshit that can now turn around and be like, oh, cool, we just made this game. And it's going to become the best game ever made by an indie company, win the game of the year, completely slaughter the competition. And
I mean, think Stardew Valley type of like level shit. Like it's what, top 10 now in most bought games of all time.
Yeah, it's up there. It's one of the most consumed games.
I think it's now top 10, and I've been playing a lot recently. I kind of stopped the last couple of weeks, but it's one of those. Yeah, like it gives you more power to indie developers, but by and large, it's not great for like the amount of workers.
Yep. And I just hope that my hope is that it does. Oh, sick! I just like looked it up because I'm curious who's all on the top. Real quick here. So these are allegedly the top selling video games. So what do you think number one is?
Minecraft.
Yes. What do you think?
Tetris or Minecraft? Minecraft.
Minecraft is number one. What do you think number two is?
Tetris.
Nope. I'm surprised by number two. Got another guess?
I feel like I should know this because I looked at Call of Duty.
Grand Theft Auto 5.
Is this franchise? Oh, I should have guessed that too. I was thinking it, but I didn't say it.
So
I'm not surprised by that.
Stardew is on the list, but they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14. They're like in the 14th slot, but they share it with like another title.
Maybe it's top 15. I don't know. I just heard that they were okay. Yeah. I thought it was top 10, but maybe it was top 15, or maybe that list is wrong. Who knows? But it's one of the like top games up there made by one person.
Yep.
So, I'm excited for the future of video games, but we got to switch to. I don't know if I have any more questions. I think more or less we answered them all. I think Mario Kart 9 is that.
Oh, let's
transition to the
games. Yep.
So Mario Kart 9, I feel like, or Mario Kart 10, whatever you decide to call it, because I know that there's the mobile Mario Kart, and there was debate whether or not that's the 9th game, or they don't know what they're going to call the next one.
I think they said it's. I think they did say they call it 9. I thought.
Is it 9?
I thought maybe I'm wrong. I saw it online anyways because they said it's going to support up 24 people playing at once, allegedly.
Interesting. So Mario Kart, we'll call it 9 for now. Mario Kart 9 is coming out. What other games should be announced with it? Like, what other games is going to make you buy it?
Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime. Metroid Prime. I fucking love Metroid, and like, okay, so I'm going to go on my tirade here. Metroid has always been one of Nintendo's best fucking franchises that they always forget about, and it blows my mind.
Yeah.
Because you look at like the first Metroid game I ever played was Zero Mission on the Game Boy Advance, and I remember being like, "This is one of the most fun fucking games I've ever played in my entire life." I vividly remember getting it. I got it for like I think a birthday present, and we went to back when Bonanza was still around in St. Cloud. We went to Bonanza for like our dinner, and I remember like holding the game in my hand, being like, "I want to go home and play this so bad."
That's like the worst feeling.
Yeah, or like you just get a new game, and then your parents are like, "We're gonna go eat." And you're like, I could literally subsist off water for the next 3 days if it meant I could go play this game right now. But anyways, so I remember playing that, and then my brother picked up maybe it was Metroid Prime 2, and we never beat it because it was really scary because we were little kids at the time. And then our game disc broke, but it had a multiplayer mode that was incredible. But I've always appreciated Metroid for its like. It does horror in such a good way because it's like it's like if somebody wanted to play horror,
appropriate horror.
Yeah, it's not pants shittingly terrifying, but like especially as a little kid or if somebody that's like new to like more thriller games, it knows just how to like amp up the ante enough that you're like, oh shit. Like, also, like, a lot of people will be like, oh, these games are scary. And it's like, I was thinking about this yesterday because I was playing. I got a new handheld called the Trim UI Brick. It's kind of cool. It's like that Miu Mini thing I had, little Game Boy Advance, or the little Game Boy Color. But I got it like for El Cheapo off AliExpress, but for like $50. Anyways, but I've been playing Metroid Fusion on there. And one of the things with that game is that Samus's power suit basically gets corrupted by like another alien life force that takes control of it. And so throughout the game, you're running away from like an ultra powered up Samus. So there's like a horror element of like you walk into a room and you'll see like her, or you see like the alien version of her like walking underneath you with like all your power ups and everything. And you're sitting there like, oh shit, I'm gonna have to make a fucking run for it. And it's just enough tension that, like, if you're a little kid or, like, if you're kind of like you want to play horror games, but you're kind of intimidated, I would say Metroid is perfect because it knows how to do atmosphere so fucking well. And that's, like, one thing I think. And then just, like, exploration's good because it kind of has, like, that old school Zelda vibe of, like, oh, what are these weird things up here? I can't, like, they definitely are supposed to be interacted with, but I don't have the thing to do it. Okay. Oh, I got this power up now. I can use that, and it like it just lets you. It encourages exploration, like remembering stuff and being like, "Oh, I should go back there because I have this thing that lets me grapple to the wall now, or now I can use a bomb to jump up in my ball form and get into this little tiny alcove." And like the little trailer they released for Prime 4. Well, I think they definitely realized like how popular it was when Dread came out. I don't know if you ever played it. But Metroid Dread was really, really fucking good on the Switch. Like, probably one of the best games.
I can't say I've ever played a Metroid game.
I would recommend it.
I can't say I've actually never played it.
I would say...
I know of Metroid. I know of Samus. I just never, like... I don't know if I've ever sat down to play a Metroid game for, like, any longer than, like, 15, 20 minutes outside of, like, when the stores and kids, if you're watching this, stores used to have video games you could play.
Dude, I remember those. I like vividly remember.
We're going to Walmart,
and then you race over to the game store just to crane your neck up like 10 feet and like give yourself a tension headache staring at the screen.
I'm just saying, if you're a child kidnapper back then, like you already knew where to go.
Yeah, you're like that's the spot. You can just easy pickings.
Well,
that's
getting them away from getting them away from that spot is going to be super difficult because you're like, no, I don't want to go with you to get candy. I'm playing fucking video games.
Yeah, look at this. There's like there's a 3-minute demo. I'm never going to remember, but I'm going to definitely do this.
I'm going to play it. So, yeah, and
I mean, they kind of have that now with Switch. You'll see like little Switch things, but it's not the same. It's not the same.
No, it wasn't as great because like there was like demo versions. You were playing like 5-10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Like you would go to GameStop and you would just stay there for like 15, 20, 30 minutes.
Just playing games. God,
I'll be honest, as a worker for GameStop, I kind of hated the parents would be like, all right, kids, I'll see you in 30 minutes.
It's there.
Like, yeah, it's a shit business. Yeah. It's not great. I love my workers. I love the people that I worked with. They were cool. Hated the company because they're just like oversell, upsell everything. Yep. I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, do you want this? No? Okay, I'm gonna like leave it alone. They don't want you to do that. They want you to annoy your customers. I'm like, I'm annoyed by doing this.
I'm annoyed by doing
this. So let's get back to
so games. Yeah. So Metroid Prime 4, I think.
Metroid Prime.
I pray that is a launch title because that would be. Mm-hmm. I did kind of look it up while we were talking before, and it looks like their rumors are that it's going to be 400, and I think that's a worse decision Nintendo could make because even for somebody, even for me who's like a degenerate and would day one purchase that device, that's out of my comfort. Like, here's the thing that Nintendo needs to remember. They don't sell games for gamers. They sell games for families and gamers. That is their demographic, not people that are saying, I have $500 or $600 to drop on $400 to $500 to drop on a console. In today's economy, good fucking luck. You're going to have record low sales number, in my mind, unless you have some crazy shit coming out. And like, what sold the Switch at first? It was the gimmick of you can play it on TV and on the go. It's both.
Mm-hmm.
That's what sold it. And Breath of the Wild. That was a 1-2 punch boom. Like
I think Breath of the Wild is like the big point. But yeah, the hardware itself, which is kind of like where I'm getting with like the games. Like, what game is going to come out that's going to make you want to like play this?
Well,
Metroid Prime for you.
Metroid. I don't even know if that would get me, because unless it would it would have to be like Breath of the Wild level, like exploration of being like it's Metroid, but you get a galaxy, and I'd be like, okay, what?
So I'm like, if you give me like Pokemon Gen X and it's like the best version of that, like it's the Breath of the Wild for Pokemon. Like, and I mean, like, not just Scarlet and Violet, like, oh, hey, it's open world. We're finally giving you what you want, but we're not going to execute it great. Like, it's no, we're going to give you exactly what we want, but it's going to look beautiful and gorgeous and exactly like what everybody wanted in a game. That would get me. Mario Kart 9, I don't know, even if you make improvements and add customization and make it the ultimate Smash Bros version of Mario Kart 9, which is just like a little bit more customization, I don't think that gets me, because I'm like, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is great itself.
I personally hope they drop. I don't think they would, because I can see the logic of not doing it. But I hope they do like multiple first party titles right off the bat. Because what came with the Switch, it was Mario Kart, Breath of the Wild,
Deluxe.
Was there anything else?
I mean, there was other things, but I don't think it was anything major. There was like Knockout, or not Knockout, but like the Splatoon, maybe.
Okay, I'm looking it up here. So the following games were available to purchase the day that Nintendo Switch launched on March 3rd, 2017. Also, wow, it's 7 years old. It feels like it's a lot longer since that. 1-2 Switch, nobody played that. Just Dance 2017, I didn't play that. Breath of the Wild, I played that. Skylanders, no. I got it. Super Bomberman, no. I Am Setsuna, no. Snooper Clips, no. Shovel Knight, no. Wow, they didn't have shit, dude.
Breath of the Wild. That's what, like, you just need the one, and I think that's what they're doing with Mario Kart 9. Like, if I had to predict,
I hope that's not the one though. Like, that's like that to me. That's not going to be a. It's like, okay, I'm gonna say it like this. I like
it's
Mario
families
Kart.
Though.
It is families.
It's families.
But that's not a title that gets people like.
It'd be fine if it was $300 and you're like, yo, Mario Kart 9 is the best one.
I would say if it was $350 and Mario, like, okay, let me say it. $400 bundle with Mario Kart 9. That's a good deal. Game, console, $400. I would be like, okay.
I need something else, man. I mean, I know there's going to be Pokemon
ZA
Legends.
I think that's what they're waiting. Well, okay, so I don't know if you heard this, but
it's not going to be a Switch 2 only. It's going to be Switch 1 and Switch 2.
I hope not.
Okay. And I'm okay with it being Switch 1, because then I can play it.
Okay, but that's fair. Well, let me say it like this. I hope if they do Switch 1 and Switch 2 that they fucking make it a good game. Stop, like, that's what we've discussed this so many times on the podcast and just in real life. Game Freak needs to slow the fuck down. And they did, because this last year they didn't release any new games, I don't think. And like, it felt weird, but I was also like, if it means we get something better out of it, I'm okay with that. I would rather it be like Zelda, where I'm genuinely so excited for every new game to come out. Like, even like, I picked up the new Echoes of Wisdom game. I haven't played it yet, but the second it came out, I was like, yeah, I need that, because I know when I do eventually get around to it, I'm going to have a blast. So that's actually brings up a good discussion. Well, I do want to keep talking about like launch titles, because I think there's some good stuff they could do here.
I'm trying to just think in my head of like which launch title. If it could do like a Zelda 3, the sequel to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, that would be amazing.
So they did, from what I recall, they did say there's no more, like, that timeline of Zelda is done now, is what I've heard. Yeah, which is probably good. And I do have some questions. We should have a Zelda episode at some point, because my question is, where does Zelda go from here now? Because I think they have to do open world, but are they going to keep doing Hyrule over and over again? How do you keep doing an open world Hyrule that gets, you know what I mean?
I don't think you do.
I think you have to do it. I think you have to move away from Hyrule and go someplace else. Which, to be honest, like, that's like my number one problem with Zelda, is I like the continuity.
Wind Waker?
Like a level, something like that, like a sequel. Oh, that would be so cool.
Like,
dude.
Wind Waker Tool, but it's like, it's more island based. It's more pirate based. One Piece love.
That could be fun.
Do you like my hat, by the way?
Yeah, I need to watch that show at some point. I'll get around to it.
Just right now, today.
All right, I'm watching it right now. We're in the pod. But I don't think it'll be Zelda because Echoes of Wisdom just came out, and I don't think they'd have a third one in the ready mix.
I don't think they would. No. Pokemon Legends ZA is definitely going to be one of them. I think it's just going to be Mario Kart 9.
Launch title?
Legend, it's going to be like, hey, Switch. It comes out earlier for Switch 1, but when Switch 2 comes out,
supposedly there's going to be a Pokemon Direct on Pokemon Day in February, so we probably will get some news.
And then Direct in April for Switch 2.
So it could be a Switch 2. We could have a Switch 2 launch title for them. That would be a good. I
think it's just that.
You don't think there's anything? I think it could. I do think Metroid Prime.
I mean, there'll be
Prime 4 has been in production since. Let's look this up. It's gonna blow your mind because I'm pretty sure.
Nothing's gonna blow my mind because I'm still waiting for Elder Scrolls 6 and GTA 6 and Fallout 5. Like, I've been waiting for my favorite games for a long, long time.
Yeah,
and we got Starfield.
Metroid Prime 4 was announced when the Switch was released, and they haven't released it yet. It's been like it literally got canceled halfway through development because Nintendo didn't like the direction of it because they went through a different director. Or who did the first 3 Prime games? God, I wish you need. Okay, we're gonna make this. I'm putting this on you now because we're in the podcast and you're in front of. You need to play a Metroid game. Like, play
a Metroid game.
A Metroid game. I would play. Okay, actually, that's not 100% fair. I should say there's 2 caveats.
You gotta give me like a game
because there's 2 kind of. It's kind of like Zelda where they have like the 2D games and the 3D games.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 2D games are better. If you play, you could probably find it on sale. Or I'll figure something out. But there's Prime Remastered that came out on the Switch. That's a good game.
Prime Remastered,
and that's a 3D one. But if you want to play, if you just want to do ARG, I'll put that up on. Just emulate and play Zero Mission. It's a 2D game. You can play it on your You could play it on like I don't know. You can play it on anything because you just emulate it through a Game Boy emulator. That is probably the best. My favorite fucking Zelda game, or my favorite.
I like how you're just going through the detail. You're like, and then here you could. This is how you could do it.
But if you don't have I'm just saying, if you don't have the original, if you don't have like the hardware to play it, you could just emulate that shit. But I would say Zero Mission or Prime Remastered.
Zero Mission, Prime. Okay.
Or you could play Dread, but I wouldn't personally say it's a great entry point. It's a 2D style one, and it's for the Switch.
Smash Bros isn't good enough. I can't just Smash Bros.
No.
Wording.
Yep.
Phrasing.
I was gonna give you grief about that there, but you beat me to the punch. So I don't know.
Yeah,
you got it. Like I think if you play one of the 3D games, you'll understand why people are so fucking excited for Prime 4. We literally Metroid fans have been dying, and then when Dread came out, it just sold like hotcakes. And Nintendo was like, "Wait, you guys like these games?" And we're like, "Yes, dude. We've been telling you that. You just don't give these fucking games the budget to succeed. You throw it all at shit like."
Okay,
okay,
sorry.
Yeah. Ooh, although I just had a thought. Okay. New Mario game, new 3D Mario game. I know. It just hit me right now because Odyssey came out.
Why did we not come up with a new? Okay, yep, Mario game. Yeah, they're not even 3D. You could just do like a Mario game.
I thought they just had a new 2D Mario game recently, though, didn't they?
They did. It would.
Oh yeah. Wonder.
But I think. I wonder what that was.
I think a new 3D Mario. That would be another one that would get people to sell. It wouldn't be for me personally.
I don't think they will because of Mario Kart. I think Mario Kart's going to be the big draw. But this is what I think Mario Kart and Pokemon is going to. I think their thinking is, hey, this should be good enough. But if they add Metroid Prime on top of Pokemon ZA, which I'm almost guaranteed will be there, as well as Mario Kart 9, is that enough? Is Pokemon and Mario Kart 9 enough?
I think
If they're great games, I think yes.
Yes, that's the thing. And I guess because that's what sold the Switch. Is people were like, you have to play this. You have.
Breath of the Wild is amazing.
It's like it's literally changes the game, and I do think I've maintained that. Like I play like talk to people, they're like, it didn't change that much. I'm like, dude, at the time there was no open world game like that. Where like the closest thing was Minecraft, and even then, not really.
No other game had a leveling system that is so natural like Breath of the Wild. Yep. And there is no game where it's like you can go in any direction, you can do any story point at any time. The only thing that changes is the fact that it's like the difficulty that you face.
Yep.
But they even then over time, like it changes. If you beat that monster and they respawn, they get a little bit tougher.
For me too, it's like it's the exploration as well. Like being like, oh hey, you're gonna go into this forest, cut down a tree. Oh, that fell down and killed the enemy. Oh, okay, you're gonna attach a bomb. That too. You're gonna set a forest fire and set everything on fire. Cool. Yep, that's done. Like it's just all that shit. Like it's just so.
The world is so like
alive.
The environment, yeah, it's alive. It's ever evolving, in a sense. And like, hey, you want to go to that mountain? You can do that. It's just going to be very difficult for you to do. It's like Dungeons and Dragons in a way. Like nothing's out of bounds. It's just like in order to do certain things, it's going to take some time.
Yep.
It's going to take effort, and obviously, if you have a good DM that can, do that well enough where it feels natural. But like Breath of the Wild was just more or less just a very natural evolution and leveling system of your gameplay. If you suck at it, it's going to take time. If you're great at it, you're going to level up. Like it's just natural to you.
Yep, I agree 100%.
So I don't know. Will Pokemon Legends ZA be that? I'm like, Arceus wasn't really that. Even though I think Arceus is an amazing game, I still go back to play it just because the gameplay of it is fun.
Yep.
And if they maintain that, that's great. But like story wise, interactivity of the world, are you going to evolve?
Here's the other thing I'm going to add to that too. Is what drew because I agree with you. Like, could Legends ZA be it? Like, I'm going to go back to the Breath of the Wild example. If it is, it needs to look polished because that is what made Breath of the Wild so special. You're I remember even now just thinking about it, like the first step out of Link running onto that plateau, and the music coming in, and like the graphics just looked like I get chills just talking about it.
It's not even realistic. It's just beautiful.
It looks so. You're like, I want to go see everything there is to see in this world.
Dude, and if Legends ZA is like that,
if it looks like that, then I think they do have a moneymaker. But that's the thing is like that. That is one thing that just still confounds me about Nintendo. I understand the Pokemon companies got merch and all this shit, but it's like you guys need to pump the brakes on that, or figure out make a way to like make it last longer. And like, because if the games die, it all dies. Like, it doesn't have the staying power. In my mind, it does not have the staying power.
Xbox. Thanks to Xbox. Yep. Like they're more in the games rather than hardware because they're like, hey, if we do not have the games, they don't give a shit about our hardware. Yep. They don't care that the Xbox is slightly better than the PlayStation. They do not care. They want to play Spider-Man. They want to play
Last
of Us, Uncharted back in the day. Yep. They want to play Zelda, and that's where it's at. Like, and I think Nintendo, outside of Pokemon Company, is doing a really good job at that because they're like, we're gonna give you the very best Zelda game you can get.
That's what
we're giving you. We're giving you the very best Mario Kart you can have, and not only that, we're going to give you 96 levels of that Mario Kart game. We're going to give you the very best Smash Bros game.
Dude,
every
Smash
level, every character.
I hope they do I really hope really rant side note. One thing I think they should do with the Switch 2 that they didn't do with the Wii U, but I think they should do with the Switch 2. Is how many times do people complain the Switch Switch games are great, but it doesn't perform very well. And I think what they need to do is really go all in on the patching for like backwards compatibility. They're like, hey, you have Smash Bros. Ultimate? Cool, we're gonna give a patch. Or not Smash Bros. Ultimate. You have Tears of the Kingdom or Legends Arceus. Yep, we introduced a patch that allow you to play it at 60 FPS if you're on the Switch.
Yeah,
or Switch 2. I mean. They should just unlock that. Let the games really shine. Like that would give some longevity. Give people a reason to be like, oh, I want to Switch 2 because then I can play these games I've already bought on a much higher fidelity experience. Like
Tears of the Kingdom 2.
Yep.
or Tears of the Kingdom
Yeah.
at its peak.
Yes.
Like, oh.
Yeah, can you imagine like even like it's like, oh, it's like 60 FPS now and stuff like loads. We don't have pop in.
It's like you bought it already. You just have to re-download it, and it'll be a little bit better.
Yep.
And it'd be cool. Well, they do that now. They're gonna make you charge for it. Remastered.
That honestly, like, maybe not for something like Heroes of the Kingdom. I hate that, but something like Smash Brothers, where it's like, hey, it's Smash Brothers Ultimate with all the DLC
remastered.
I'd be like, okay, cool.
Ooh. Like Mario Kart DX, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where they're like, yo, it's the same game, but we're switching a little bit. Battle mode's better, and you get DLC.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah,
I think that's a winning strat for them. So, but yeah, right. I don't know. I
think
they need some good.
I think we're at an hour, so I think we.
You ready to call it there?
Segue. I'm ready to call it.
Yeah.
I need like a bell. Ding, ding, ding. Yep. Time is up. ADHD rant over. Yep. But yeah, Michael, thank you for so much for going on. Yeah, Switch 2, I'm excited for it. I hope they're making the smart decisions. Nintendo usually does make the smart decisions when it comes to their hardware and their games. Not all the time. I know they're fickle with money, but yeah,
I think
I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it too. I'm happy they finally announced it. I think it's hilarious that it got leaked before it got announced, but I think both of you and I are on the same page, and it's like at this point, all the big things that are going to change, that are going to determine this console's success, price point and the initial games. If they have a Breath of the Wild quality game in that mix, they could get away with like a $400 price point. I personally think that's a bad decision. Personally, I think that alienates a lot of their customer base. But if it's something that quality, they could maybe get away with it. But it needs to be like revolutionary. Like makes people be like, I need to buy this console because I have to play this fucking game.
I agree.
So
very much so. All right, thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Jake. That was a blast. I'm excited for our Last of Us. Kind of what we alluded to before. Weekly episodes, Last of Us 2. We're making that commitment here on the pod. Hell
we are. April, sometime.
We're excited to watch all of you cry because we already know. Ha ha ha. Well, we know, kind of. We don't know.
Cry and bitch, probably.
Yep. Oh, there's going to be some toxic raging going on. That's for sure.
You did it in the show too.
Yeah. But. Yeah, it's going to be.
But Joel. Sorry. Spoilers. All right.
Thanks,
Michael.
We're leaving there. All right. Later, guys.